It was an oddly warm, silent Christmas Eve morning in 1932. The miners of the Mowequa Coal and Manufacturing Company were busy at work, mining in the biggest mine in all of Shelby County. Only about half of the usual crew showed up for work that day. Most workers stayed home to prepare for the holiday festivities, and the ones who did show up were most likely working for extra pay. In total, 56 miners were working that day. Only 2 would survive. It started out as a normal shift. The inspector, who checks to make sure that the air pressure and conditions are safe for working, gave the all clear for the workers, and they began to head down into the mine. With carbide lamps upon their hats and their mining gear in hand, they began to make their way down into the mine. Several migrant workers, immigrants, single men, and father and son pairs took the elevator down into the shaft to mine the coal, unaware of the dangers lurking above. Suddenly and unexpectedly, a violent shift of barometric pressure occurred. This allowed methane gas to escape down into the mine. The miners, unaware of this cloud of flammable gas, racing towards them, ignited their open-flame carbide lamps, which in turn created a huge and deadly explosion. This explosion instantly incinerated most of the miners, but those that weren't immediately incinerated choked to death from the black damp, the carbon monoxide poisoning that followed the explosion. It wouldn't be until around 8:15 a.m. that the town would be alerted to the disaster. Pools of people gathered by the entrance to see what was going on as trained mining rescue crews from Pana and Springfield, Illinois, worked tirelessly to retrieve the bodies from the mine. Only 2 people were able to be rescued from the mine. Frank Flosky and Ibra Adams were both in a cage deeper in the mine and were safe from the explosion. It would take around 6 days to find all the bodies. Around Mowequa, the residents remember the disaster as the day Santa died. Many families were without fathers, brothers, or sons, and friendships were brought brutally to an end. For the next couple of years, Christmas time would be a time of mourning and remembrance, rather than a holiday of joy and cheer. It was a tragedy that affected the whole town. The town was united in tragedy. People from all walks of life and from all divisions from the town all lost somebody in the mine that day. The town, which was separated into Northsiders, whose families had started and settled Mowequa, and Southsiders, who were mainly first-generation Slovakian Catholics, were united by a shared grief. It was a turning point for the town. No longer were there a north and south side. Everyone was a part of Mowequa. The mine would go on to close a year later. Coal was no longer being found, and the costs of keeping the mine running were becoming too much. As the years went by, the abandoned mine would begin to deteriorate, and in October 1941, the mine was fully destroyed, a sinkhole left in its place. Wanting to preserve the memory of the workers who had lost their lives, and to educate the newer generations of the danger and power of the mining industry in Mowequa, Bruce and Maribeth Sarver opened the Mowequa Coal Mine Museum in 1986. This museum, filled with family photos and heirlooms from the families of the victims, serves as a means to educate the newer generations about Mowequa's coal mining history and how the disaster helped the town grow together. It also serves as a memorial for the 56 miners who lost their life. Where the largest mine in all of Shelby County once stood is now a historical marker, letting visitors know what happened on that fateful Christmas Eve. It speaks of how the incident led to the eventual end of open flame carbide lights, to finally be replaced with battery-powered headlamps. Hopefully, with the help of the Mowequa Coal Mine Museum, the lives of the 54 miners who died that day will be remembered.